Hi, I'm Meltem Demirs, and you are watching Global Crypto.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's edition of the Global Crypto Market Analysis with myself, James Preston.
And myself, Graeme Tennant.
And this week we're going to have a look at the big picture Bitcoin market as well as a trade that Graeme is putting on Ether. Of course, Ether is the token of the Ethereum network. A lot of people get confused and they talk about Ethereum as the token, but actually technically the platform, the network is Ethereum and its token, its native token within its ecosystem is Ether. A lot of people just call it by its ticker code ETH or ETH. Graeme, take us through Bitcoin first, what's happening there, and then we'll have a look at that Ether trade.
Okay, great. So let's kick off with the Bitcoin chart because that's the best place to start. It is the guard market, and if Bitcoin's under pressure, then obviously the whole crypto market is generally going to feel that pressure.
I mean, looking at that chart straight away, that macro symmetrical triangle, immediately it looks like your symmetrical triangle is still in play.
It most definitely is still in play. And it's just been interesting listening to various commentators chat about it and also point out the symmetrical triangle that they're seeing. Raoul Powell, who you had on your show the other day, has highlighted it, as well as Peter Brand. Francis Hunt was the first person that I know of that spoke about this pattern. So it seems to be attracting more attention. So obviously what it is, it's the contraction of volatility over time since the 2017 bull market, and that contraction of volatility is essentially building up energy, and I feel if it breaks to the upside that we're going to see some really exciting moves, which I've spoken about before. Another thing to note is the volume by price profile on the left hand side,
right? And
what's evident here is the lack of liquidity, or rather the lack of volume that we've had north of 10k.
Yes.
So that's exciting because that's almost your open field that we have to run through. That's your land of milk and honey, essentially, where all the obstacles are cleared out the way after the 10k, and that gives Bitcoin the license to roam. Until then, you can see all this massive volume that we've had under 10k between the 6-8. So that's almost like no man's land. So you got your two trenches, your support, your resistance, and this is where all the conflict's happening. That's where all the dead bodies are. That's where the landmines are. It's the wet, muddy fields, it's the barbed wire that you have to get through, to move upwards. So if we can get through that, then we're going to have some open space. But at the same time, you can see that the volume also disappears to the underside of 6k. So that's also the risk if we do then fail on this attempt. How low do we go? Where are we going to test? So 6-8 is your logical area to test, in my opinion, if we do fall there. So I think we may get something like that, maybe some resistance at that trend line again, and then move to the upside. So that's probably I think that's my highest probability setup right now. However, we can't discount the possibility that we actually do break through within the next week or two, or it could break the next minute
at any given moment.
It really could. So let's just go a little bit closer in here, and we can see some of the price action at this level. And what is fascinating is that the bulls just don't want to give up. They keep on hammering away at this 10k level. Every time the bears do push back, we see that being bought up, but yet that 10k level stays intact. So it really is fascinating stuff, and this buildup of tension, when it breaks either to the upside or the downside, is going to give us a fairly volatile move one way or another. And we are getting a symmetrical triangle in itself on a shorter time frame here, which signals that a big move is imminent.
Right.
So that's really what I'm seeing on Bitcoin at the moment. So look, there's a caveat to that. I am building up a small Bitcoin position at the moment,
right?
Non-leveraged. I just want to be in it if it does move to the upside.
Sure. Because
if it does move to the upside and it flies, that's something I'm going to look back and regret. So I don't want to be in that position. If it does move to the downside here, it's small enough that I can bear it, and we can move through the next cycle before we break the next upside. But I definitely want to participate if this moves to the upside. But most of that participation at the moment is I'm putting on through Ethereum. So here's the ETH chart, And what we can see here, this is also a 4-hour chart. So it's the same time frame as we were looking at previously on Bitcoin. And what we've got here is a more pronounced contraction of volatility. So it's just a better setup on the same type of triangle structure. And what we've got here is a breakout to the upside of this structure on Ethereum. Whereas if I come back to Bitcoin briefly, we can see that we haven't yet broken to that upside.
Yes.
So that's why I like Ethereum. Unfortunately, I missed the trade essentially here for Ethereum. So the real trade here was this setup, where let me just drill down a little bit tighter here so you can see where my ideal entry would have been. And it would have been a retest of this level here. So once we had broken up, we tested the resistance of this trend line, we came back down. That would have been your ideal position to get in on this trade at around that level. Okay. You can see we would have got perfectly filled if I placed my buy order at a test of that previous high. So that really was the right one. And unfortunately, yesterday I was watching it, but I got distracted, didn't put the trade on, and it's now run away from me. So I'm kicking myself a little bit there. I'm trying to give myself the opportunity to get back into this trade. Let me come back out a little bit further. I'll show you where. So here we had a little bit of resistance, but that turned out to be continuation. Another move to the upside. So this, if I summarize, this is the ideal trade. This is me chasing the market somewhat and looking to get filled and pull back. All right.
Yeah.
So there I've had to shift my stop loss up a little bit. But as you do this, you do decrease your probabilities, and your risk to reward ratio gets suppressed.
Yes.
I still think that's a fair trade, and I do think that ETH is looking very strong. So I do want to get involved if there's a pullback. And then lastly, this is just an example of what would happen if I were to enter at the current price. And you can see how this just blows out your risk reward ratio, because your target stays the same, but your entry changes. So
yes.
Here initially I was looking at 6, just short of 6 risk to reward. This one's at about 5, and if I were to enter now, which I'm not, but as an example to demonstrate, your risk to reward ratio is only 2.5, which is about half of what it can get me on a pullback. So that's a little bit of insight into what I'm looking at on Ethereum, and just some explanation as to how I go about sizing my take profits and my stop losses according to my entry. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. Will be helpful to some of the guys watching.
Absolutely, very much so. So nice insight there. There's a lot of action going on. Join our Telegrams. You can join our WhatsApp as well, but it is filling up very quickly. So we'd encourage you to join our Telegram group. All of Graham's comments, some of the other guys, Lowry and sort of as well, have been charting quite a bit. So thanks to you guys. And we've been sharing your stuff from WhatsApp onto our Telegram as well. And we appreciate new traders coming in and sharing their insights as well. It's all very, very helpful. Of course, you can support Global Crypto simply by sharing this video. Share it with your friends on WhatsApp, on Telegram, on Twitter, on Facebook as well. Share it around, because that, of course, helps us get the reach that we need in order to grow. And then, of course, subscribe to Global Crypto on YouTube. Graeme, thanks so much for your input this week.
Great, thanks James.
And we'll see
you. And good luck to all the traders out there.
Absolutely, we'll see you in the next edition. From myself, James.
And myself, Graeme Tennant.
Until next time, goodbye.